Hello, it's Nikki. How you doing? I am coming to you this weekend with a cheeky little two-parter. Now, if you've been listening this week, you will know that there is a 10-part series all about shaking up your services, and those next 5 are coming to you very soon. But as always, when I do these exercises, I know that I gain so much as well. There's something about saying it aloud, something about bringing it up to the surface that makes me think about things differently. And it's almost like sometimes you have to have a word with yourself and then you get the clarity that you need. But I wanted to talk about something in real time. I was going to say in real life. We don't have to talk about it in real life. You can carry on doing your own thing whilst you listen to this podcast. But in real time. Now, this is not live, but it was recorded in real life earlier today. And today, I made a decision to delete a course that pays me money. Now, you might first and foremost be like, what? That doesn't make any sense. But hear me out, because actually, to me, it makes perfect sense. And it's time to move to the next level. But also because I'm a human being experiencing this and maybe going through some of the thoughts and feelings that you're having right now as I'm saying to you, I wanted to talk you through the process essentially and my thoughts and what has come up for me. So in about 2018, I'm going to say, or 2017, I created a course called Business Goals. And this was the course that I was looking for. When I began my coaching in 2012, 2013, I knew how to be a coach, but I didn't know anything else. And the internet was growing and expanding and the possibilities were enormous, and people just kept saying things like, get online, get on the internet. And I was like, I am on the internet, but I don't know what to do now. And this course for me really came from a place of talking to myself in that younger iteration, and I mean younger in age, but also younger in business knowledge, of saying, look, kid, whatever happens, whatever day of the week it is where you're sitting and going, right, must work on my business today for the next 4 hours, this is going to give you some things to do. This is going to help you have a plan. This is going to give you a sense that you are progressing forward. Beautiful. And it worked. And it sold. And it was something that really began to change the direction of my business. And the positives have always been, it was £97. It was under £100. And I know that money, of course, is subjective. I mean, there's people who say, yeah, I spent 100 grand on my coach last year. And then some people go, I don't have £100. Like, I'd love to do it, but I just can't do that. It's all relative. But there was something for me where I felt like if somebody could spend less than 100 quid on something, I really wanted to give them a lot for that. And I did, my friends. I created, and here's the madness here, I created 16 modules. So, I know, you couldn't even get through it in a weekend, you know, if you were doing other stuff like eating and sleeping as well. 16 modules. Now, some geeks like me absolutely loved that because they just went through the whole thing. But here is the first realization. When I was debating whether I should keep this course or not, I went and looked at where people had purchased it and where that lives. So I can see And this may be a bit of a surprise where you're like, whoa, people can see things like what I'm doing. I can't see what you're doing. I don't have a camera or access. But in a very simplistic way, if somebody has purchased something from me, I can see if they've watched the modules. Now, they could let the whole thing run while they go to sleep, but I'm presuming that when people are watching, they are actively watching. And here's what I found with business goals. Very few people completed the course. I would say maybe 1 or 2 out of all the sales that I made with it. And that really told me something. Firstly, because I am committed to people's growth. And what I mean by this is that I want people to actually do the thing so they get the thing that they want, that they get the result. And it's sort of like those meetings, we've all been to them, where people want to mill about and talk and they're just happy to be in the room. And then there's somebody who's like, guys, I really have to go. So can we just make a decision on this? And then we can close the meeting. I want that moment. I mean, probably not as abruptly as that. I want you to have that moment with the work that I do with you, whereby at the end of the session, you know what to do. You know where to go next. I don't want you just to attend the thing. I mean, of course, it's lovely to have you. It's lovely to have you in the room. But I want you to get what you need from it. And what I realized was, although this business goals course was great, and I, hand on heart, believe it is and was, even though you can't buy it anymore, I didn't feel that that was the right course any longer at that price point. So first of all, I want to talk about a ladder of offers. This is going to be quite a chunky one, by the way. That's why I've split it into 2. But do grab a piece of paper and a pen as I'm talking, because you may want to take some notes here and apply these principles and see what's going on in your business. So I have a ladder of offers. I have freebies. So I have a free 15-minute session and I have some free workshops as well. And then I have some lower offerings, I guess. So very small, specific workshops. I have one on content. I have one on an ideal client. You can find all these in my shop if you want to look and see what I'm talking about as I'm talking. And then I wanted to have this offering around 100 quid that sat in the position of being a bit more of an intensive. Then I go into my small plate and my big plate offerings, which are my 1 or 2 hour sessions. And then I have 3 and 6 month offerings. This is just in terms of my coaching, by the way. This is not hiring me as a speaker or anything like that. I'm talking specifically about coaching. Occasionally, I do VIP days, so people book me for the whole day. We go somewhere fabulous and have a great lunch, and it's a whole intensive day. Brilliant. I absolutely love doing those as well. But generally, that is my ladders offer. Now, as I think about the target market or the target audience or that person who basically could really do with what I'm sharing here, the freebie, the person is, and this is the difficult thing, the person is the same person, but they're in different states of, let's call it hunger. So the freebie workshops are people who are just kind of browsing. So imagine you're at a farmer's market. You're not really sure why you're there. I mean, you are sure that you're there, but you're not really in the market for anything. You've got quite a slow Sunday pace and you're enjoying seeing what's around. And somebody offers you a taste of a little slither of cheese. And you might be like, oh, yeah, I'll try a bit of that cheese. How nice. But you're not committed either way. You're not like, you're not desperate. You're not thinking, gosh, thank goodness I came. I got that freebie. Hooray. But if you like it, if it appeals to you, you'll take it up. You'll give your name and email. Happy days. Then the energy might move into the free 15-minute session. And I'm going through freebies, even though I think the energy is slightly different, because usually the people who are at the 15-minute stage with me, they usually know me a little bit better, because I've spoken about this before. I am really pleased and grateful to have a high, and I feel really weird saying this because I don't look at it in terms of like salesy and marketing and getting people bums on seats or anything like that. But I have a high conversion rate. And I'm only using that data, that language, because it will be something that you can connect to. But basically, most people who book a free 15-minute session with me work with me in some capacity going forward. Now, it's very rare that people would come onto a call and either not be ready or not know about my work or not know what they want. Mostly, by the time people get to that stage, their energy is as such of, I'm ready to do this. I just need to check that you're the right person. And that's the energy. And because they've usually listened to or watched some of my other work, they are usually pretty sure that I am the right person. Otherwise, and this is the difference of the energy, they wouldn't waste their time having a conversation, because they are usually busy people who are not there for the freebies. They're not there for the wandering and the strolling, unless they're off and they're off work and they're not doing anything. But Monday to Friday, their time is very, very precious to them. So they're not going to book in for a chat with a random stranger unless they're really interested. The next thing I want to talk about is, and I'm going to skip around, I missed out. So then to go to the shop, the offerings that I have solve a specific problem. So sometimes this is simply can you take me, imagine it was a big kind of department store. Can you take me to the content aisle, please? Because I need a bit of help with it. Or can you take me to the ideal audience aisle? Because I need a bit of help with that. If you're in John Lewis in Oxford Street, as I have been hundreds of times over the years, if I'm going in for some new towels, please don't send me to children's wear, or please don't let me end up in Waitrose in the basement. I just want the towels. I want to know where they are. I want to get the towels. I want to experience the towels. I want to buy the towels. I want to take the towels home. And that's why I do those lower cost offerings, because it solves a problem. And I think in this age of so much content, so much opportunity, so many voices and people saying things, sometimes we just need to get what we need. So that is solving that problem. And then my kind of one-to-one work. So my small plates and my big plates, those are for those people. And I've shared this as well in terms of last week's podcast. So feel free to go back and listen. The two work hand in hand. So the small plates and the big plates, the 1 or 2 hours, which include some time with me afterwards, some pre-work, me doing prep and organisation and thinking about what you want to achieve in advance. It's a whole experience. Work really well as a great starter package. Then there are the 3 and 6 months. So sometimes people go, oh, an hour is not going to do anything for me. Like, I really need to commit to this. And I gave the example that I use sometimes when I know that I'm going to get back into exercise big time. I sign a contract. If I'm going back to hot yoga, I'm signing that contract for 6 months. And you will see me on that mat very, very regularly, because I need that commitment. As soon as I have I'll see if I feel like it, it's never going to happen, because I have 2 small children. I have many things that I need to do. People need things from me. So I need to make it a priority. But somebody might finish a 3 or 6 month program with me, and then they just want that top up of 1 or 2 hours. Great, it's going to work perfectly. So they work really well together. But what I was missing was that experience in between, because I want to scale my business, of course. Like, I want to scale my business. I want to create more turnover, but also I want to create more profit in my business. And I have some really big money goals. And that's always how I've operated my business, that I do want to create more, but I also want to help more people. I really have that philanthropic side to my business, that I don't want to just say I work with 3 clients at 100 grand per year, because actually for me, I would prefer to work with many more people and create more of a ripple effect. I also don't believe that coaching should be completely exclusive, that all of these self-development tools, which are life-changing, are sort of fenced off to the people who have got loads of money. I want to make these things accessible. I've spent a decade learning and practicing and trialing and erroring and experimenting with these things. And many of them I know work. If I can tell you, if I can shortcut that process, I absolutely will. Because as I've said so many times on this podcast, there have been so many times in my life that I felt like there were no doors open, that nobody knew, or they did, but I just didn't know those people yet. I didn't know how to open those doors. So this business goals course sat really, really beautifully. But here's what happens. Knowing that people did not complete this course was really starting to make me ask more questions. Yet there was something in me that felt that I couldn't throw it away or disregard it. And I really struggled with that sense of, but I put so much work into it. And that really irked me. It felt very wasteful. And then what I did was I did the numbers. And I worked out how much money I had earned from this course since having it. I worked out how many people that I had helped. And I found a way, or I chose to be open to a way, to find some kind of alignment with that decision. So ultimately, I knew that the decision was I wanted to close this particular offering and offer something else. So I connected with that vision of like, no, I am committed to excellence and there's a better way to do this. So in order to do that and in order to make space for that, I'm going to have to make friends with this decision. So I noticed how much money I'd made from this situation. And as my mum would say, it didn't owe me anything. It really didn't. It did not owe me anything. And what I mean is, if I'd worked with people personally, if I had hired it out on an hourly rate, what I made for it, I've made my money back. Like, easy peasy, lovely, happy days. Also, I'm really grateful for what it did. It really supported me through those final weeks, or actually most of my pregnancy with Luna. I really sold it a lot. I sold many of them. And I've spoken about passive income before. I've spoken about selling a couple of books on my beautiful trip to the hospital with Oscar when I was pregnant. If you haven't heard this story before, let me know. I'll tell you it again. But it's basically, I sold 2 books, which were £9 each. I mean, take off the Stripe fees and the tax and all the proper stuff. But ultimately, I made my taxi fare to the hospital and back whilst I was carrying a £9.10 baby, which he ended up being, and being on day 3 of labour. So I was not in a good customer services spot, but I saw that money come into my business. Likewise with business goals, I remember one night I sent out, and I'm saying this to you because we're pals and we know each other. I mean, who knows who's listening to this really, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Luna was born in August the 6th, 2019. And it was around this time, 3 years ago, late June, early July, and it was hot, man. It was so hot. And I did not know what to do with myself. I was so hot. I was so uncomfortable. And Luna liked to be on my right hip on the inside. And I remember one night, I had got myself into a position where I was on my right side, so sort of turned over. And Luna clearly thought, oh, great, I'll snuggle into that bit of her hip now. This is all while she's on the inside, if it's not clear. And I wanted to turn over and I couldn't move. I literally couldn't move. I felt like a dead weight was pressing on my core strength and I couldn't move. And the only thing that I could do was to reach my hand back and bang on the wall and hope that Matt would be in the other room that was like it kind of sharing a wall with our bedroom. And he was, fortunately. And he came in and he had to shove me over. And I just had these most enormous pants on, no top on, like very, very pregnant, very, very hot, clearly miserable and uncomfortable. And he had to shove me over. Anyway, I finally got myself back into a position where I was sitting with my knees bent and I needed to do some work. I was sending a newsletter that night, but I couldn't even think about putting a t-shirt on. Also, you know how your computer gets sometimes your laptop? I had to put it on a cushion because I couldn't bear the actual heat of the laptop on my cushion, so I was trying to cool that down. Anyway, long story short, I sent my newsletter and I think I sold 2 or 3 of these business goals courses, which was about 200 quid, probably more. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to get out of bed now and tell Matt because I really want to. So I'll just wait until I do that next time, because I didn't want to use all my energy. But when I did, I kind of wandered around into the living room in this sweaty mess of no top on, big pants, very heavily pregnant, and making money in that situation. And so as part of this grateful gratitude list of making friends with my decision, that course doesn't owe me anything because it gave me so much at the time. And here's the little note that you might want to take. Are you holding on to anything in your business that you really don't need to? It doesn't owe you anything. It's actually blocking where you need to go next. I would really, really love to hear what you need to do right now, what you need to release, what you need to let go of. And it may not be an offering. It may be something that you say about yourself. It may be a story that you're just not going to talk about anymore because, to be honest, it's outdated. And it's time to thank it, to communicate with it, maybe write it a letter if you need to, or if that's, how you want to float your boat. And then choose to let go of it. Because in part 2, I'm going to go into a bit more detail as to what I've now been able to make space for. I would love to work with you if I can help you in any way. It goes without saying, go to my shop, nikiraby.com/shop. Everything I offer is all listed there. Also, if you have any questions or you're like, I've got this amount of money and I don't really know where to spend it or what I would be best doing first or what would you recommend, email me. I'm a human being. I will get back to you. I'll probably send you a voice note as well. And we can chat it through and you can book a free 15-minute session and we can go from there. So my email is hello@nikyraby, NICKYRABY.com. And I'll be back with you shortly for part 2. Lots of love.